Brent, good to see you. I know you like to talk football. We're talking the retirement red zone, just a little bit different. We're going to talk through 5 moves to make while you're in the retirement red zone, the 3 to 7 years before you retire. It is a critical time when investment decisions and market fluctuations can have a significant impact on your financial security. So step number 1, define your budget and expenses, but only 40% of people have ever calculated what they'll need to live on in retirement.
Yeah, I'm shocked the number is 40%. I would have believed it was less than that.
Mm.
But essentially, retirement red zone, that's who we are built to serve. In a perfect world, everybody would come to us at age 50 and we would put the plan in place and it would be lovely. But most people start to think about this about 3 to 7 years before they retire. So what I like to tell folks at the beginning is, what are we here to do? We're here to essentially take inventory of the situation. I usually start with budget and expenses. We have to figure that out to say, okay, where are we at today? And then start to look at what is our retirement going to look like for those budgeting and that expenses.
And then part of that is defining your guaranteed sources of income.
Yeah, this is always a good pillar to start on. So most people have Social Security. If not, it's usually like a state or government pension. And then occasionally we do see some people still with traditional pensions. That's really the starting point. Okay, we know what we can count on. And so then we start to go from there.
Right. And so when 1 and 2 are done, when you know what's going out and you know what's coming in, whatever the gap is, the retirement gap, you build an income plan to bridge the gap.
Yes, everybody wants to talk about investments. Brent, I worked so hard. I saved all this money. Look at this big balance. What do I do? To me, investments is about second, because income is the most important solve, in my opinion. And so, yes, if we've got our defined sources and we know how much money we're going to need, now we're just talking math. And so we figure out what we need to pull from those other sources to come up and satisfy that income need. An important first step.
And getting back to guaranteed income, when you decide to claim Social Security, one of the most important decisions you will make in your retirement. And Brent, I know this is something that you specialize in, helping people figure out the most financially optimal time to claim.
Yeah, so when to take Social Security, a conversation needs to be had because there are a lot of factors that go into it. If nobody in your family has lived past 65, but your current advisor is telling you to wait till 70, that's probably not the best recommendation. The other thing I like to point out is there's a ton of calculators out there for advisors and for individuals. And what does it do? It says, okay, we're going to estimate you live to 95, you should trigger at 70. You just can't do the math that way. It just doesn't make sense. So to simplify it the best way I can, I tell folks a good time to trigger Social Security, this isn't for every situation, but a good time to trigger Social Security is when there are bills that need to be paid and I no longer have the income to cover it. That is usually where I start because it's a good time to say, okay, let's let Social Security pay these bills instead of drawing on my assets and then lowering that.
And then last, of course, you do need to consider taxes, which will be one of your biggest expenses in retirement. But you can take action now to save thousands in your retirement.
Yes, tax planning, definitely something that we focus heavily on. You essentially have 3 buckets, and that's why I like this illustration so well. When most clients come to me, the generation that's just now retiring, they were told, put all your money in a tax deferred account, and then when you get to retirement, you'll be in a lower tax bracket. They are all learning that is not really the case. So if you have deferred tax dollars and then you have tax-free dollars in a Roth IRA and you have taxable, which could be things like a brokerage account, having those 3 buckets is going to give you a ton of flexibility. And so usually what I see somebody say is, Brent, I'm taking Social Security. I need X dollars. Let's just pull it from my biggest account. That's my pre-tax dollars. And then when I show them, no, you're actually going to start paying taxes on Social Security by increasing your taxable income, let's throw some strategies in there and try to pay as little or no taxes as possible. So you need a good income plan that factors in taxation when you're talking this stuff through.
Right. So important. All these steps are definitely interrelated. And again, when you're in that red zone, every decision you make is so important. So Brent, if somebody wants to talk through these strategies with you, how can they get a hold of you?
Yep. Then call the office 614-430-8383 or go to young-wm.com. Get you scheduled. We'd love to talk about it.
Great, Brent. Thank you.
Thank you.